It's sad. It's sad.
Pretty sure it wasn't for the one person who was saying the string was broken.
My dad also texted me. I don't know if I want to go that far. No, my dad is usually right. Okay, let's see if this worked. And if not, well, okay. When we get to the last verse of L'cha Dodi, we will stand and face the back. I'll give you instructions at the time. L'cha Dodi, page 5. Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. Sham v'zachor v'ditor echad, Yishmiyanu el amiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'lichala, L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. Mikdash melech melucha, u'nitzei mitoch ha'afecha, Rav lach shevet be'emek ha'bacha, v'hu yachmo aleichem na. L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. Hitoriri, Kiva orech kumiori, Uri shir dameri, Kivor Adonai alaykucha. L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. V'hagru l'shim sa'shosayich, v'rachaku v'mevalayich, yasis alayich Elohayich, imsuchatan al-kala. L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. Everyone, please rise and face the rear of the room. We get to the last line of this verse. We'll bow to the right and to the left. B'hui v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'zahala, Toch emunei am segula, B'hui kala. L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. L'cha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nikabela. Please remain standing on page 6 for Baruch Hu. La 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? awake and I'm prepared. La 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 la, 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 la 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 la. Baruch Adonai Mevorach. Adonai Mevorach. Eolam Eolam. Please be seated and turn to page 7 for Avat Olam. Avat Olam Beit Yisrael Amchavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limateta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu v'shachveinu uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayeinu be'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla ve'avatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. If everyone will please rise on pages 8 and 9 for the Shema. We will read it all the way through in Hebrew, and then I will turn to the next page and we'll read it together in English. But it's your custom to cover your eyes. I welcome that. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Next line to yourself. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'otecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshachtecha uvkumecha uvshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. We will remain standing so we can say it together in English on page 9. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Praise be the name of the one whose glorious sovereignty is forever and ever. We can all read together if you would like. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all that is yours. Take these words that I command you this day shall be taken to heart. Teach them again and again to your children. Speak of them when you sit in your home, when you walk on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and as a symbol above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your home and on your gates. Please be seated and turn to page 11 for Vishamra. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam b'ritolam Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam b'ritolam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael B'nai Yisrael, Oti Le'olam, Vishamru, B'nai Yisrael, Et HaShabbat, Lahasot Et HaShabbat, Le'dorotam B'ritolam. Ki Sheshet Yamim, Asa Adonai, Et HaShamayim ve'et ha'aretz, Vishamru v'nei Yisrael, Et HaShabbat, Lahasot Et HaShabbat, Le'dorotam B'ritolam. Uvayom Hashvi'i, Shavat Vayinafash, Shavat Vayinafash, Shavat Vayinafash, Vishamru v'nei Yisrael, Et HaShabbat, Lahasot Et HaShabbat, Le'dorotam B'ritolam. Yes, we'll turn back to page 10 for Mi Chamocha. Welcome. We're on page 10. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Yalla la la, yalla la la la, yalla la la la, yalla la la la. Yalla la la, yalla la la la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elu Adonai, mi chamocha b'tavach kodesh, u'latahilo lo seifele, lo latahilo o seifele. Yalla la la, yalla la la la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la. Yalla la la, yalla la la la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? All right, I like to take this opportunity in the service to talk a little bit about this week's Torah portion. And this week, after I speak, we're going to have Daniel Capper. I was going to do a little bit of a discussion as well. Anybody who has spent basically any time around me knows that one of my biggest passions is soccer. I am a huge Chelsea FC fan. We could not get it done today, but it's okay. Okay. Liverpool on Wednesday. I love the history. I love the competition. I love just sort of the pageantry of European soccer. And in stadiums all across Europe, and they've kind of imported it to the United States, but in a little bit of a worse way, supporters of different clubs have specific songs or chants that they have for different players or different moments in a match, different situations. A goal might lead to one chant. A big save might lead to another. These crowds are big and they're diverse. It's 80, 90,000 people. And at these moments, they rise in one and they all seem to know the words to the chants. I've never really understood how they come up with them so quickly, but they did. I mention all this not just because I like to wedge Chelsea or the Grateful Dead into as much as I could possibly wedge it into, but I want to introduce the fact that this week's Torah portion has one of the most famous scenes in all of the Tanakh. Last week, we read about the last 3 plagues and the Jews' eventual exodus from Egypt. This week, the story picks up with them basically at the Red Sea and them realizing, oh my gosh, there's a big body of water in front of us. And for those of you who do not know the story, Adonai tells Moses to lift his rod and spread out his arms, and the waters parted. The Israelites walked across the Red Sea on dry land, towers of water on either side. And as the pursuing Egyptian army, the pursuing army of the Pharaoh enters this dry land, assuming that whatever miraculous force of nature had caused there to be dry land in the middle of the sea would continue, Adonai caused the waters to close on top of them, and all of these pursuers drowned. Upon reaching the other side and recognizing their freedom, the Israelites feared Adonai, and they had faith in Adonai and in his servant Moses. And after that, they sang. The next thing they do, literally the next thing they do, they get to the other side, and they sang. They are overcome by emotion. They're at this moment of liberation, and they stood on what is clearly the eastern shore of the Red Sea, and they sang. The Torah tells us that their first instinct was to join together in praise for Adonai, who had led them from bondage to freedom. When I was reading this in preparation for this week, this is a story that I think with which most of us are familiar. I started thinking about this instinct to gather and sing, to offer a unified front, to sing together. And this is not always in moments of glory, in moments of liberation, in moments of happiness. We gather together and sing in moments of sorrow as well. I don't think anybody in this room is old enough to remember this, but on the evening of September 11th, 2001, September 11th, I think you're clear on what I'm talking about. The members of Congress had basically a press conference on the steps of the Capitol. It was if you imagine what the country is like on that evening, it was a weird period of mourning. And the Speaker of the House spoke, and the Senate Majority Leader spoke, and other prominent members of Congress spoke. And at the end, as they're leaving, the leaders have walked off the podium. The Congress as a whole, all 535 members, began singing God Bless America. I don't know who started it. I don't know if it was pre-planned. It was a moment that even those of us who tend towards the cynical could not find fault with at that time. The human instinct to gather together and sing. In the verse in this parsha that precedes the song, it starts with the word then. And there's a teaching that this song had always existed inside the Israelites for the 430 years of their captivity in Egypt. But this praise could not be expressed until this final, ultimate moment of freedom. At once, in sort of one long shofar blast of exaltation, the Jewish people sang with all their might. These past 2 weeks, you've heard me speak about the ways we should struggle with parts of this Exodus story. There's lots of death. There are plagues that really affect people. We've talked about this, and we've discussed it. And I want to offer a counterpoint this week. The people whom the Israelites just seen die were not innocent Egyptians. They were a pursuing army bent on actually killing them. So I want to offer a counterpoint to the idea that there is some necessity to recognize the negative implications of an action. There's nothing wrong in celebrating a mortal enemy's demise, and to sort of put a bookend on the September 11th story. Early on the morning of May 1st, 2011, I woke to a huge volume of text. I was living in London, so this was about 4:30 in the morning. And this is the evening Osama bin Laden had been killed. And for those of you who, I guess all of you were born at this point, but people gathered. We have this human instinct to gather. They gathered at the Capitol, the same place where 10 years earlier we'd heard the singing of God Bless America. People gathered at embassies around the world. People chanted USA at Mets games. New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies fans got along, which perhaps is the biggest miracle of them all. So tonight, I want us to think about the value of communal singing. We are here tonight, and for those of you at home, you're at home. We are a diverse group coming from a variety of Jewish backgrounds, different personal conceptions of Judaism, different ideas of what it means to gather. But at times when we are all standing up, at times when we are all singing together, our voices sound as one. And in this way, we are echoing the joy that our ancestors felt at that moment on the banks of the Red Sea. Jewish voices once again singing our praise to Adonai. And as we once again enter our weekend of rest, I want to leave you with this recognition of the importance of gathering as a community, and especially in song. Shabbat Shalom. And now I'd like to call upon Daniel Kaprow, who'd like to offer some words about this Torah portion.
Hello. As Jeff mentioned, this Parsha Beshalach is part of the Exodus story, where the Israelites escape Pharaoh and make it to the Red Sea. When all hope seemed lost, the seas parted, and they're able to escape the wrath of Pharaoh. One of my favorite midrashes, which is a story about the stories in the Torah, goes like this. As the Israelites were trapped at the sea, with the Egyptians racing towards them, a great fear passed among the people. The consensus was that if the Egyptians captured them and they did nothing, then they would all die. 4 proposals were made among the Israelites in this moment. The first said, "Let us beg the Egyptians to take us back, and let us hope that they are merciful and that we will re-enter the land of Egypt, for slavery is better than death." The second group said, "Let us fight. If we're going to die, we might as well die going down fighting." The third group said, "There are tens of thousands of us. If we make enough noise, we can scare off the horses which the Egyptians ride on, and we will be able to escape." And the fourth group said, "Let us go through into the waters of the Red Sea, and if we drown, at least we will do it free." Moses at this point was at a loss for what to do. And so when he called out to God and asked which of the 4 choices the Israelites should choose, God's response was, "Whether you fight, make noise, or go forward into the sea, I will be with you. However, you can never go back." And at this point, Moses lifted his rod and the seas parted. The moral of this story is that no matter where you are in life, you must always make a choice to stand your ground, to move forward, to ward off issues. We have a crossroad of choices, and yet the one thing we can never do is we can never go back. Now, more than ever, this point is crucial. We are faced with an inflection point in our people's history. Around the world, calls for Jews to be killed are made. Anti-Semitism has risen over 300% in the US, while anti-Semitic incidences on college campuses have risen over 700% post-October 7th. People openly call for our demise and are celebrated for it. And yet, like the Israelites at the Red Sea, we have choices we can make about this. And already you're seeing these choices being made by members of the community. We can be loud, speaking out against anti-Semitism and making sure it is well known wherever it is found. We can fight, not with our fists, but with our actions, showing pride in the fact that we are Jewish and refusing to hide who we are. And we can move forward. But this time, no longer just as a Jewish community, but working to build a larger community that is made up of Jews and allies who speak out against injustice wherever it is found. This is the path we should continue down. Tomorrow marks International Holocaust Remembrance Day. The Holocaust in its purest form represents the extreme of hate. What happens when anti-Semitism is allowed to go unchecked, and the dangers of when people like us stand aside and allow hate to prosper. And yet, in spite of this darkness, just as at the Red Sea, both Jewish and non-Jewish individuals had a choice. There are some amazing stories of survival that have come from the Holocaust, some from families that come here to UCF. It is my hope today that on the eve of International Holocaust Remembrance Day, we take a step forward into the sea and into a world without hate to ensure the promise never again truly means never again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Daniel. If you will turn to page 12, we'll continue with Hatzi Kaddish, and then the Amida. Yikadav yitkadash shemei rabba ve'alma divrachute ve'amlich malchute b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael Bagala, Bagala, Uvizman Kahariv, Viamaru, Amen. Yeheshme Rabba Mivorach, Me'olam Olam Me'almaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, Yitba'ar, Yitromam, Yitnaseh, V'yitada, V'yitale, V'yitalal, Shemei Lekudesha, B'richu, Le'ela, Min Kol Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechemata, Dahamiran Biyama, V'yamaru, Amen. If you'll please turn to page 13 and rise. We will read the first chants together, the first 2 pages as a community, followed by time for individual silent prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanura El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot Umevii Geula Livnei V'neihem L'man Shemo V'Yahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah. Turn to page 14. Atah Gibor L'Olam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav L'Hoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Marid HaGashem Mechakel Chaim Bechesed Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Berofeh Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Mishenei Afar Michamocha Baal Gevurot Umito Melach Melech Me'it Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol. A silent prayer. No rush. When you are done, you may be seated. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Tasim le'olam. One more time. Shalom Rav Yisrael Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Tasim le'olam. We'll now turn to page 19. Misha Barak is a prayer we sing for anybody who needs any kind of healing, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, general kinds of healing. If you or somebody you know or love is in need of healing, please keep them in your hearts at the moment. Misha Barak Avoteinu Mikor habracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. B'Shebeirach Imoteinu Mikor habracha Le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. And let us say Amen. Thank you. If you will turn to page 20 and rise for our laning. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol la'teit kedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot velo samanu mishpachot adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu t'chol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Noteh Shamayim V'Yoser Haaretz U'Moshav Yikaro B'Shamayim Mima'al U'Shchinatu Zo B'Gavei Meromihim Hu Eloheinu Einod Emet Malkeinu Refezu Lato Kakatuv b'Torato, v'yadata hayom v'hashevota el levavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim hima'al, v'yal haaretz, mitachat einod. Ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. If you all will please remain standing from Mourner's Kaddish on page 21. Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'Alma Divrach Chirutei v'Yamlich Malchutei v'Chayachon v'Yomechon v'Chayei Zechol Beit Yisrael v'Agala v'Bizman Kari v'Yamru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Ulamei Almaya Yit Barach v'Yishtabach v'Yit Pa'ar v'Yit Rumam v'Yit Naseh v'Yit Hadar v'Yit Alev v'Yit Halal Shmei Kudashah B'Richu La'ela min kol berachata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yamru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Oseh Shalom ben Ramav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yimru Amen. Please be seated. It's time now for everyone's favorite part of the service when I try to remember what we're doing this week. But this time, I actually have pulled it up on my computer so I can look. On Monday, I'm having office hours on campus at Foxtail Coffee in the Breezeway at 1 o'clock. Tuesday, there's the kindness card at 10:30 to 11:30. I'm having a lunch and learn. It's on Jewish food. I think we're also having Jewish food. I think it's schnitzel and falafel. So please come join us. It's much better than the pizza we had. I apologize. There's a mentor meetup in the Yehudi Hub at 7 p.m. You can ask Alyssa for the flyer. On Wednesday, there's friendship bracelet making at 12:30 at Memory Mall. And Nosh is Harry Potter Nosh. Yes, 6:30 upstairs. On Thursday, which is February 1st, coffee and camp chats with the Camp Coleman ambassadors. It's at 11 to 3 in the Memory Mall Starbucks. Jewish Week Council Bagels and Lox at 2 o'clock. And Israel Block Party volunteer training. Please volunteer to help at Israel Block Party. If Lindsay were here, she would tell you we need more volunteers. But she's not. So I'm going to tell you we need more volunteers. Volunteer training Zoom is on the 1st. And then on Friday the 2nd is Shabbat. Yes. Yes. Sorry, I looked at next week. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock by the flagpole on Memory Mall, we are having a International Holocaust Day, Remembrance Day / Havdalah gathering. We will. Well, Dana, do you want to talk just for a second about what it is? Dana or Jonah, doesn't matter to me.
So we're doing Havdalah, and then we're doing a very short ceremony for International Holocaust Remembrance Day. We're going to from a couple students who went to Poland. Please be there as close to 7 as possible.
So right at 7. We do not want to get too dark out. So please be there.
Even though we are going to light a candle. We are going to light candles.
It's electric tea lights.
Oh, the electric tea light. We're going to end tonight as we did last week with Odivo Shalom Aleinu. Odivo Shalom Aleinu. Odivo Shalom Aleinu. Odivo Shalom Aleinu. Kulam. Odivo Shalom Aleinu. Odivo Shalom Aleinu. Odivo Shalom Aleinu. Kulam. Salam. Aleinu ve'akolam, salam, salam, salam. Aleinu ve'akolam, salam, salam. I don't know the hand motions. I'm just gonna follow along. Odivo shalom aleinu, odivo shalom aleinu, odivo shalom aleinu, ve'akulam. Odivo shalom aleinu, odivo shalom aleinu, odivo shalom aleinu. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please join us for dinner next door. Shabbat Shalom.